Psalm 9 is a powerful song of thanksgiving for God's righteous judgment. In the Hebrew Bible, Psalm 9 and Psalm 10 are closely linked, forming a partial acrostic, where each stanza begins with a successive letter of the Hebrew alphabet. While Psalm 8 looked at the stars, Psalm 9 looks at the courtroom of the universe. Overview and background: author, King David. Genre: a thanksgiving psalm of victorial lament. Musical notation: according to Muth-labben, which likely means death of the sun, possibly a well-known tune of the time. Context: David is celebrating a specific victory over pagan nations. He transitions from personal gratitude to a universal declaration that God is the ultimate judge who protects the oppressed. Outline: 1. Personal praise, verses 1 to 2. The psalmists vow to praise God. 2. The defeat of enemies, verses 3 to 6. God's judgment on the wicked nations. 3. The eternal throne, verses 7 to 10. God's justice compared to the fleeting power of man. 4. A call to worship, verses 11 to 12. Inviting others to join the praise. 5. A plea for mercy, verses 13 to 14. Remembering current afflictions amidst past victories. 6. The fate of the wicked, verses 15 to 18. The self-destructive nature of evil. 7. Final petition, verses 19 to 20. A plea for God to humble mere men. Verse 1 ULT, I will give thanks to Yahweh with my whole heart, I will tell of all your wonderful works. Insight: praise is a choice of the will involving the whole heart. It isn't just a feeling, it is an intentional recounting of God's wonderful works. Application: when you feel overwhelmed, stop and list specific things God has done for you. Gratitude is the best antidote to anxiety. Cross-reference: Psalm 103 verse 2, Bless Yahweh, my soul, and do not forget all his benefits. Verse 2 ULT, I will be glad and exult in you, I will sing praise to your name, Most High. Insight: the focus of joy is not the victory itself, but the person behind the victory, the Most High, Elyon. Application: ensure your happiness is anchored in God's character, which never changes, rather than your circumstances, which do. Cross-reference: Philippians 4 verse 4, Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I will say, rejoice. Verse 3 ULT, when my enemies turn back, they stumble and perish before your face. Insight: that face of God represents his presence. For the righteous, it is comfort; for the wicked, it is a consuming fire that causes them to stumble. Application: you don't need to fight every battle. Sometimes, simply standing in God's presence causes the opposition to retreat. Cross-reference: 2 Thessalonians 1 verse 9, These will pay the penalty of eternal destruction from the face of the Lord and from the glory of his might. Verse 4 ULT, For you have maintained my right and my cause, you sit on the throne judging righteously. Insight: God is the ultimate defense attorney and judge. He vindicates those who are wrongly accused. Application: if you are being treated unfairly, take your case to the heavenly courtroom rather than seeking revenge. Cross-reference: 1 Peter 2 verse 23, Who, when he was cursed, did not curse in return. When he suffered, he did not threaten, but committed himself to him who judges righteously. Verse 5 ULT, You have rebuked the nations, you have destroyed the wicked, you have blotted out their name forever and ever. Insight: evil is ultimately temporary. God's judgment is so thorough that the name, legacy, of the wicked is erased. Application: do not be envious of the temporary success of the wicked, their foundation is sand. Cross-reference: Proverbs 10 verse 7, The memory of the righteous is a blessing, but the name of the wicked will rot. Verse 6 ULT, The enemy has come to an end in everlasting ruins, you have uprooted their cities, the very memory of them has perished. Insight: human empires fall, but God's kingdom remains. The cities of man are fragile compared to the city of God. Application: build your life on eternal things. What you do for God is the only thing that won't end in ruin. Cross-reference: Hebrews 12 verse 28, Therefore, since we receive a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us show gratitude, by which we may offer service well-pleasing to God with reverence and awe. Verse 7 ULT, But Yahweh sits as king forever, he has established his throne for judgment. Insight: while earthly rulers come and go, v6 Yahweh is established. His rule is the only constant in history. Application: trust in the stability of God when world politics or personal lives seem chaotic. Cross-reference: Lamentations 5 verse 19, You, Yahweh, abide forever, your throne is from generation to generation. Verse 8 ULT, He will judge the world in righteousness, He will execute judgment for the peoples with equity. Insight: God's judgment is perfectly fair equity. He cannot be bribed, and He is not biased. Application: this is a comfort for the oppressed and a warning for the oppressor. True justice is coming. Cross-reference: Acts 17 verse 31, because He has appointed a day in which He will judge the world in righteousness by the man whom He has ordained, of which He has given assurance to all men, in that He has raised Him from the dead. Verse 9 ULT, Yahweh will also be a high tower for the oppressed, a high tower in times of trouble. Insight: the word for high tower, misgab, refers to a cliff-top fortress that is out of reach of the enemy. Application: when you are under attack, run to God through prayer. He is a place of safety that the enemy cannot scale. Cross-reference: Proverbs 18 verse 10, the name of Yahweh is a strong tower, the righteous run to it and are safe. Verse 10 ULT, those who know your name will put their trust in you, for you, Yahweh, have not forsaken those who seek you. Insight: to know His name means to know His character. Once you truly know who He is, trust becomes the natural response. Application: if you struggle to trust God, study His names and His past faithfulness. Knowledge of God fuels faith in God. Cross-reference: Psalm 91 verse 14, because He has set His love on me, therefore I will deliver Him. I will set Him on high, because He has known my name. Verse 11 ULT, sing praises to Yahweh, who dwells in Zion, declare among the peoples His deeds. Insight: praise should not be private only. We are commanded to declare what He has done to the world. Application: sharing your testimony is a form of worship that helps others see God's reality. Cross-reference: Isaiah 12 verse 4, in that day you will say, give thanks to Yahweh. Call on His name. Declare His doings among the peoples. Proclaim that His name is exalted. Verse 12 ULT, for He who avenges blood remembers them, He does not forget the cry of the afflicted. Insight: God is the avenger of blood. He notices every injustice, every tear, and every drop of blood shed. He never forgets the little person. Application: you are never ignored by God. Your cries for help are recorded in His presence. Cross-reference: Genesis 9 verse 5, surely I will require your lifeblood, from every animal I will require it. From the hand of man, even from the hand of every man's brother, I will require the life of man. Verse 13 ULT, have mercy on me, Yahweh, see my affliction from those who hate me, you who lift me up from the gates of death. Insight: even after praising God for victory, David acknowledges his current struggle. Faith doesn't mean the absence of problems, it means application. Be honest with God about your pain. He is the one who pulls us back from the gates of death. Cross-reference: Psalm 107 verses 18 to 19, their soul abhorred all kinds of food, and they drew near to the gates of death. Then they cried to Yahweh in their trouble, and He saved them out of their distresses. Verse 14 ULT, so that I may tell of all your praises in the gates of the daughter of Zion, I will rejoice in your salvation. Insight: contrast the gates of death, v 13, with the gates of Zion. David wants to be delivered so he can continue to lead others in worship. Application: ask God for deliverance not just for your comfort, but so you can be a witness of His power to others. Cross-reference: Psalm 118 verse 17, I will not die, but live, and declare the works of Yah. Verse 15 ULT, the nations have sunk down in the pit that they made, in the net which they hid, their own foot is caught. Insight: evil is often its own punishment. The pit and net intended for the innocent become the trap for the wicked. Application: you don't always have to get even. Evil eventually trips over itself. Cross-reference: Galatians 6 verse 7, do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. Verse 16 ULT, Yahweh has made himself known, he has executed judgment, the wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higgaion. Selah. Insight. Higgaion means meditation or a resounding sound. This is a pause to think deeply about how God uses the wicked's own hands to trap them. Application. Look at history or your own life. How many times has a bad situation meant for your harm actually worked against the enemy? Cross-reference. Job 5 verse 13. He takes the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the cunning is carried headlong. Verse 17 ULT. The wicked will return to Sheol, all the nations that forget God. Insight. To forget God is the root of all wickedness. The destination of such a path is Sheol, the place of the dead, judgment. Application. Forgetting God is not an accidental slip of memory, it is a lifestyle choice. Keep God at the center of your thoughts to stay on the path of life. Cross-reference. Psalm 50 verse 22. Now consider this, you who forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Verse 18 ULT. For the needy will not always be forgotten, nor will the hope of the poor perish forever. Insight. This is a promise of hope. Poverty and need are temporary, God's remembrance is eternal. Application. If you are in a season of lack, hold on to the hope that God has a timeline for your restoration. Cross-reference. Psalm 12 verse 5. Because of the oppression of the weak and because of the groaning of the needy, I will now arise, says Yahweh, I will set him in the safety he pants for. Verse 19 ULT. Arise, Yahweh. Do not let man prevail, let the nations be judged before your face. Insight. David calls on God to act. Prevail suggests a struggle where humans think they are stronger than the divine. Application. When human systems seem to be winning against God's. Truth. Pray, arise, O Lord. Cross-reference. Numbers 10:35. It happened, when the ark set forward, that Moses said, Rise up, Yahweh, and let your enemies be scattered. Let those who hate you flee before you. Verse 20 ULT. Put them in fear, Yahweh, let the nations know that they are but men. Selah. Insight. The ultimate prayer for an enemy is that they would realize their own mortality and limitations. They are but men, Enosh, weak, mortal man. Application. Remembering our mortality keeps us humble. We are small, he is great. Cross-reference. Isaiah 31 verse 3. Now the Egyptians are men, and not God, and their horses flesh, and not spirit. When Yahweh stretches out his hand, both he who helps shall stumble, and he who is helped shall fall, and they all shall be consumed together. Summary. Psalm 9 is a transition from the wonder of creation, Psalm 8, to the reality of conflict. It teaches that Yahweh is the sovereign judge who sits on an eternal throne. While the wicked plot traps and build empires, they eventually fall into their own pits. Meanwhile, the oppressed and needy find a high tower in God. The psalm reminds us that no matter how powerful human nations seem, they are but men, while God's name is most high. Reflection. This psalm forces us to look at the throne room of the universe. It tells us that justice isn't just a human concept, it is a divine attribute. When we see the wicked prosper, we are reminded that their name will be blotted out, while those who know God's name will never be forsaken. Questions for meditation. 1. Is there a cause or an unfair situation you need to hand over to the righteous judge today? 2. Verse 10 says trust comes from knowing his name. Which attribute of God, his name, do you need to study more to increase your trust? 3. How can you move from the gates of death, your struggles, to the gates of Zion, praising God in community? This week, would you like me to continue with Psalm 10, which completes this acrostic and focuses on the why of suffering?